Fox News alert. Hurricane Rita became a Category 2 hurricane today as it moved past the Florida Keys, forcing evacuations with winds up to 100 miles per hour. The storm is headed into the Gulf of Mexico, where it could gather even more strength before moving on toward Texas or the Louisiana coast. And it's expected that by tomorrow afternoon, the storm will become a Category 4 hurricane, similar to the strength of Katrina when it made landfall in August, just a short time ago. Authorities issued an evacuation for Galveston County, Texas, in anticipation of Rita's arrival. Joining us now with the very latest from Marathon and the Florida Keys, our very own Rick Leventhal. Rick, what can you tell us?
Well, Alan, we're still feeling some of Rita's winds, but certainly the Keys have dodged yet another bullet here. The Keys very vulnerable to hurricanes, but for the most part have been spared the worst, certainly of this storm and so many others. We're getting some strong winds right now, as I mentioned, but nothing too bad, and the rain has actually stopped for the most part, although there have been some damages here, including this one boat here behind me that's been underwater for most of the day. They have done a damage assessment now here in Marathon Key and the rest of the Keys, and we're told that the roads are okay, that especially the main road, US 1, there's only one stretch that has some mud on it and some other damages, and the FHP, the Florida Highway Patrol, is out there directing traffic. But they say that everyone who evacuated, all the residents, can begin coming back first thing tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Residents can begin returning to their homes in the Florida Keys. They say that the visitors to the Keys need to wait until Friday because they have to have time for the hotels to get cleaned up, get their employees back into the hotel so that they can get ready for the visitors. But the residents can come back first thing in the morning, which is obviously good news for this town. They did order a mandatory evacuation before Rita got here, but a lot of people stayed because it was advertised as a Category 1, possibly a Category 2, and these are hurricane veterans down here, and a Category 2 really doesn't scare them. But we can show you some pictures from earlier where the storm surge was definitely rising here in Marathon, which is right between Miami Beach and Key West, right in the middle of the Florida Keys. We saw a lot of water coming up over seawalls, and we saw some streets flooded. We saw some neighborhoods flooded. We saw a tennis court that was underwater, and some other homes and streets in that neighborhood and other neighborhoods here in Monroe County in some trouble. We also saw problems on US 1, which is the one main artery between South Florida and Key West. There were 9 stretches of this highway that at some point or another were washed out or underwater or had significant debris on the road. They actually shut down US 1 for a time, but reopened it late this afternoon, early this evening, to some traffic. Again, there's mud on a stretch of the highway around mile marker 74. There are police officers out there to navigate traffic around that, but they have encouraged people who didn't evacuate to stay in their homes and not go out and sightsee just yet while they try to get things cleaned up. Certainly, Florida is used to these kinds of storms. They're very good at preparing for them. The 3 hospitals in Monroe County here in the Florida Keys were evacuated before Rita arrived. 2 nursing homes were also evacuated. People with special needs were moved to a shelter at Florida Atlantic University, I believe, and they also moved some 1,200 people at least to shelters in Miami-Dade and Broward counties. Of course, the president declared a federal disaster down here, federal emergency. They have 4 counties that are eligible for disaster aid, and they got hundreds of trucks, Alan, standing by, ready to bring in water and ice to anybody down here who might need it. Guys?
I'm just curious, given the fact that they're asking people if they can come back tomorrow, was it necessary to evacuate in the first place? Was this mandatory, and did people have to do that?
You know, people, even in a mandatory evacuation, don't have to leave, and the die-hard islanders down here did not leave. They know better. They know that a Category 1 or 2 isn't going to do as much damage as a 4 would. I talked to a guy today who said if it was a 4, he definitely would have gotten out. But about half the people just took the warnings and left. Did they have to? In retrospect, probably not. But we've been through this before, and we saw what Katrina did. So we always know now that there's certainly a potential for far greater damages than were once believed.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, and thank you for joining with us tonight. Joining us now on the phone is Key West City Manager Julio Vial. Thank you very much, Mayor, for being with us. And tell us what the situation is there. As Rick was saying, people can go back to their homes tomorrow. Is that what you're suggesting as well?
7 a.m. We are asking them to come back. We prepared extremely well. I'm very proud of our emergency operation people. We are opening up the city tomorrow morning immediately at 6 a.m. We will be cleaning the streets, and we'll be ready to accommodate all of our folks.
Julio, Sean Hannity, thank you, sir, for being with us, and I'm glad this was not worse than what people thought it could be. One of the things that was really impressive, it seems that in light of Katrina, that everybody has learned a valuable lesson in terms of preparation. I mean, you had a staging area, as I understand it, West Palm Beach. You had evacuation plans in place immediately if there were people that needed rescue. Tell us about that.
Oh, that is correct. Well, I've been the city manager here for 9 years, and we have been preparing for any eventuality. Our plans before, and during, and after well constructed. We implemented the evacuation immediately after we were informed that we could possibly have a Category 2 or even a 3. We were expecting surges of as much as 9 feet, and as you probably are aware, our island, 4x8 island, it's at sea level. One area is 16 feet, but we were expecting 50% of our city to be underwater. So we're really happy that 50% of our residents did evacuate. But I'm not as happy. I wish we would have had 90, 95, 100% of our residents evacuated.
Mr. Avial, I've been to Key West, and I know that there's only one way out of town.
There's only one way. We have 112 miles, 42 bridges. So we're in a very precarious location here in the Caribbean, and we certainly take heed when these storms are coming in. We have a great relationship with the state of Florida and the county. I was advised at 11 o'clock several days ago. I've lost track. I've been here at the Emergency Operations Center for approximately 3 days. But at 11 o'clock when I received the report, our teams were developed, and we were out in the community. As a matter of fact, we already made an assessment of the damages to the community, and we're now working and responding to those areas that need attention.
Mr. Avial, we thank you very much for being with us tonight. Thank you so much. And joining us now on the phone, the police chief of Key West, Bill Molden. Chief Molden, how are essential services? Hospitals open? Are police in full force? Are people getting the services they need?
Well, currently we're waiting for a conference call from the county to talk about that very hospital will reopen. At this point in time, it is not. It's not reopened. We're returning to normal police services, and we still have some significant winds at our location, but it's starting to die down, and we're dealing with some flooded streets as well. So hopefully things are going to start getting better shortly.
Mr. Molden, it's Sean Hannity. Thank you for being with us. As we just heard Mr. Avial just saying, only 50% of the people evacuated. Do we need to increase that number more, considering especially a place like Key West is so vulnerable?
Well, we encourage people to leave. We don't force people to leave, but we do everything we can to encourage them to get out.
But should we think about making it mandatory?
Well, there again, it's impossible to make people leave. Other cities have had to try to deal with that, and it's extremely difficult to get them out. We don't have the manpower to force 24,000 people.
Chief, we appreciate you very much for being with us tonight. Thank you so much for giving us the report about your community. We'll have lots more coverage of Hurricane Rita coming up, and we'll also hear from the Army Corps of Engineers about the threat to New Orleans. It's not going to take much rain to flood the city again. We'll find out just what could happen if Hurricane Rita comes calling. And then some conservatives are still angry at Senator Mary Landrieu. She says she would still punch the president. We'll tell you why she's standing her ground. And last night we told you about some outrageous comments made by Louis Farrakhan. It gets even worse. We have new tape to show you. It'll leave you speechless. All that still to come. Lots ahead on tonight's Hannity and Colmes.
Hello, everybody. I'm Lori Dew. The European Union turning up the heat on Iran. Reuters is reporting the EU has drafted a resolution to report Tehran to the UN Security Council over its nuclear program. The draft could be formally presented to the UN's nuclear watchdog tomorrow. Iran is not happy about that, saying if force is used, it will have no choice but to resume uranium enrichment. Saudi terrorists are a small but influential force in Iraq. That's according to the Center for Strategic and International Studies. A new study says Saudis make up only about 1% of terrorists in Iraq, but they contribute serious money. The study also finds the majority of foreign terrorists come from Algeria. The New York Times Company has slashed some 500 jobs. This as the whole industry deals with serious financial problems like weak advertising. The cuts represent about 4% of the company's workforce and will affect the New York Times and the Times-owned Boston Globe. And Connecticut will start recognizing civil unions performed in other states. October 1st, it will become the second state to allow the legal partnerships for gays and lesbians. But Connecticut's Attorney General says his state will not recognize same-sex marriages performed elsewhere because state law defines marriage as that between a man and a woman. I'll be back with more headlines just after the top of the hour, but stay tuned. Hannity and Colmes continues after this short break.
Hyatt Gold Passport's faster free nights. Every 2 stays earns you a free night at Hyatt Hotels and Resorts worldwide when you pay through MasterCard, now through November 30th.
Who would ever think that the waste we generate would generate support for local events? The same people who lead the way in recycling nationwide and who conduct educational programs for our children. We're Waste Management. Working with local leaders, we're developing smart, earth-friendly landfill properties that serve the community in unexpected ways. From everyday collection to environmental protection, think green, think Waste Management.
You see an old train track. At Franklin Templeton, we saw a railroad whose unused land helped it become a successful real estate developer. Uncovering hidden value to build strong returns for our fund shareholders requires a unique perspective, one that's made us a leader in value investing. Franklin Templeton Investments. Gain from our perspective. Consider investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses carefully. For this and other information, get a prospectus from your advisor. Read it carefully before investing.
Whether you're running a busy household or a small business, chances are you have a lot going on. Well, there's one place that can help you handle it all.
Don't you worry about a thing.
The UPS Store. If you need help with packing and shipping, need someone to print, collate, and bind a presentation for your small business, or a mailbox where someone can sign for your packages, let the UPS Store worry about it. That's our thing.
Don't you worry about a thing.
The UPS Store. The place for packing, shipping, and a whole lot more.
For over 75 years, we've been sacrificing Volvos in the name of safety. Today, when it comes to style and design, we sacrifice nothing. Safety is a beautiful thing, especially when it's beautiful. The 2006 Volvos.
Broadband, you're ready to save. Visit Vonage.com/free offer or call 1-800-959-4VON. And for limited time, get your first month free. Also available at these retailers.
As we continue on Hannity and Colmes, we're glad you're with us. I'm Sean Hannity. Also coming up tonight, now that Hurricane Rita has ripped through the Keys, we're going to tell you where she may strike next. But first, the citizen soldiers of the Florida National Guard have been serving above and beyond the call of duty the last few weeks. As many as 1,600 National Guardsmen have been activated today to respond to Hurricane Rita, and that's an addition of 500 Florida Guardsmen helping the Hurricane Katrina relief efforts in Mississippi and Louisiana. And 2,000 of their colleagues are already serving in Iraq and Afghanistan. Joining us now, Major General Douglas Burnett. He's with the Florida National Guard. Sir, thanks for being with us. Boy, you guys are burning the candle from all ends here, Major General. Thanks for being with us. Let me first ask, in this particular instance, how prepared are you for the worst scenario? Because it seems like in many ways the Keys ducked what could have been a much greater storm.
Well, first, I'm happy to be here. We're very prepared, as the National Guard has been since 1565, if I might point out. Certainly, we're blessed with a large formation. We have almost 12,000 National Guardsmen in Florida. Yeah. What we've done here, and the numbers actually are a little over 2,000 mobilized, pushing that 2,400 number with 2,000 again on alert. What we've done is set up to build an air bridge. We have 3 battalions of soldiers at Homestead Air Reserve Base as we speak. There's another battalion in Miami in the Army ready to go forth. We pushed down big Black Hawk helicopters, Chinook helicopters to Palm Beach International Airport with more helicopters in Brooksville and Jacksonville ready to go. So our plan, which is the one that Governor Bush has supported, the one we had ready to do business with at Ivan last year, was to build an air bridge all the way down 160 miles to Key West to get in commodities, search and rescue teams, and of course that early rescue effort, which we do with our special forces.
General Burnett, it's Alan Colmes. Do you have everything you need, and do you get specifically involved with rescuing people, helping evacuees, going into their homes, helping them out? How specific you
Well,
get?
the National Guard does every bit of it, Alan. Yes, we do get involved. Our special forces people are in there very, very early. The goal is to get in, as Governor Bush has said, before 12 hours, and then we have commodity, food, water, and ice before 24. But we actually go door to door, knock on doors, make sure there's someone in there not infirm that needs help. We found that in Charlie last year in Punta Gorda. So we get very involved in this. It's a very intensive house-to-house effort and reaching out to the citizens that need help.
Given what's happened and the fact that the mayor is calling people and the city manager, people can go back to their homes tomorrow, I presume there's nobody stranded, we don't have fatalities, or we don't have certainly not the kind of suffering we saw in New Orleans and Alabama and Mississippi.
Well, we don't know that, of course. We're pretty sure that we're okay there. But remember, it takes a long time to build capability. So we keep that capability ready. We're not ready to pull out just yet. We'll wait till we hear from those civilian elected officials down in Monroe County, and the governor makes that assessment. So we're sitting on capability, and we'll have it ready just in case that we need to go down and do something. But right now, I think we've been blessed by a bit of a pass on this one.
Did you learn anything from Katrina that you're applying here?
Well, basically, remember, we go back 6 hurricanes from last year, and in each hurricane we've gotten a little better response. But the key is early mobilization of the Guard. Call out the Guard in big numbers, put mass on the objective, if you will. But from Katrina particularly, we certainly were probably a little more ready with our big Chinooks to build that air bridge down there. There's no question that Katrina defined a requirement for airlift, and we have that capability, and we're ready to use it.
Do you have the men you need, the women you need, the resources you need? Is there anything you're lacking at this point?
Well, there's not. We have the men and women to do the job. About 7,000 Army National Guardsmen, right at 2,000 Air Guardsmen. So that's pretty good capability. The equipment, we do have the needs to respond to citizens in Florida, but I don't think there's any question that our nation needs to look at resetting the National Guard. The Army spent $4.3 billion in National Guard equipment in the last 2 years, but there's about another $3 billion needs to be spent because we are short big trucks, 5 tons, medium tactical vehicles, communications gear, and night vision goggles and engineering equipment.
Thanks for being with us. And when we come back, Joe Bastardi from the AccuWeather, he's going to join us next. He thinks Rita may become a Category 5. The big question is, where will that hurricane land? We'll ask him next. And then it's the question we asked 3 weeks ago. If a major storm hits New Orleans, will the levees hold? We'll get to that question tonight as well.
Tonight at Red Roof Inn, Bill stays in a business king room.
Look at his space.
And feels like a business king himself.
Multitasking. Chances of me working are remote.
Don't miss the redesigned, rededicated Red Roof Inn and Accor Hotel.
With so much more to see, shouldn't you be watching it on the Aquas Liquid Crystal television? From Sharp.
In 3 weeks, I will be grounded for incurring massive charges on my parents' cell phone bill.
We'll break up after the next billing cycle.
Because we don't have mobile-to-mobile calling.
I will be at the mercy of forces larger than myself.
I will realize I have no self-control way too late.
Don't get schooled in wireless. Get GoPhone. Pay as you go with cash or pick your plan with debit or credit. GoPhone comes with everything but a surprise bill.
My GoPhone, unlike my prom date, will prove to be an excellent decision.
Only from Singular, raising the bar.
Who says you were out of shape? Go to eat.
Front-end pedestrian safety system. Just one of 120 not-so-standard features available on the all-new German-engineered Passat.
Touchdown.
Oh, that's not a birthday cake. That's a fire hazard.
Stop hitting the half-century mark.
Oh, I'll tell you a good thing, though. Oh, no, please no. No, the good thing is reaching a point where the kids are all set, and the plans are made, and suddenly, finally, not having to spend every waking moment worrying so much about money.
Right here.
You're the financial guy. Let's hear from the birthday boy. Happy birthday.
Thank you. When you work with a Morgan Stanley financial advisor, you get someone unusually devoted to your dreams, one client at a time.
You're a homeowner, right? So why are you paying as much as 18% interest on your credit cards? Right now, Countrywide Home Loans is offering a home equity line of credit with an introductory rate of just 3.99%. And this interest is usually tax deductible. It's an incredible rate, and it's from America's leading lender. Apply today and you could pay off your high-rate credit cards with this low introductory rate of 3.99%. No one can do what Countrywide can. Call today, 1-800-641-8626. Homeowners need cash? You need to know about the no-closing cost home equity line of credit from Countrywide Home Loans. Unlike many lenders, with Countrywide there's no application fee, no credit reporting fee, no appraisal fee, no underwriting fee, no closing costs. So you can use more of your loan to pay off credit cards and lower your bills. The no closing cost home equity line of credit from Countrywide. No one can do what Countrywide can. Apply now. Call 1-800-641-8260.
Welcome back to Hannity and Colmes. I'm Alan Colmes. Still to come, the city of New Orleans bracing for Hurricane Rita. Is the Big Easy ready for another deadly blow? First, let's go to AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Bastardi for an update on the storm's path. Joe, did Florida escape? Did the Keys, are they out of the woods? Could there still be trouble there? And where's it headed next?
Well, the Keys had wind gusts over 100 miles an hour at Key West, so it depends on your definition of escape there. The storm is almost a Category 3, Alan. And let me again take a stand here for everyone. New Orleans, I mean, yes, there's always a possibility something funny could happen. But this is not a hurricane for New Orleans. This is not a storm for New Orleans. The big problem here is the Texas Gulf Coast, okay? So we want to make that clear here that we think New Orleans is going to be okay. But this is intensifying very, very quickly now. Look at that well-developed eye now, just west of Key West. It got its act together, maybe 6 to 12 hours, a little bit late. Well, actually fortunate for the Keys, but it's almost a Category 3 now after being a tropical storm last night. Remember, we were talking about how quick it was going to ramp up. Look at this as it moves off to the west-northwest. And you can see the path is aimed well south of New Orleans here, so you folks there don't have to worry about. 967 millibars now, which is within 2 millibars of getting down to that Category 3 level. Winds are up to around 110 miles an hour. This is the map of Hurricane Carla in 1961. This was the biggest, most powerful storm overall to hit Texas this century, packing winds of 150 with gusts to 175 at landfall at a place called Port Lavaca, Texas. The entire Texas Gulf Coast did receive hurricane-force winds with that. Here is our forecasted path currently of Rita, and I'm expecting this to go to Category 5, guys, 920 or lower in the Northwest Gulf, and hit as a 4 someplace between Port Lavaca and Galveston very late Friday night or Saturday. So with all this going on, we have yet another tremendous storm in the Gulf. Remember, Katrina beat Camille. It looks to me like Rita is going to beat Carla as far as the benchmark storm in Texas.
You know, Joe, there was a big debate about whether people should evacuate New Orleans or continue to evacuate or go back to their homes. Are you saying it's going to go nowhere near there, or was the mayor right to say don't come back just yet? And where exactly will it hit and with what intensity?
Well, I'm not going to second-guess the mayor. I'm going to tell you what the weather's going to do. I think it's going to pass 250 miles south of New Orleans. And I just said I think it's going to hit very late Friday night or Saturday morning between Port Lavaca and Galveston, or the Matagorda Bay and Galveston as a Category 4 hurricane after being a Category 5 just before landfall. So I'm trying to be as definitive as
Joe, this is very, very key here, because you're describing the potential for the single biggest hurricane to hit that area in its history, aren't you?
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. The biggest hurricane in the last 100 years to hit the Texas Gulf Coast. Of course, the Galveston hurricane of 1900 hit directly at Galveston. Now, let's remember this path is still a little bit southwest of Galveston, But right now, I mean, you got to call them as you see them, guys. We got everything loaded.
Can you explain the difference between the different categories?
Yes, sir. Every time you ramp up a category, you approximately 10 times increase the amount of damage. So a category 2 will cause 10 times more damage than a 1, but a 3 will cause 100 times more damage. You get up to a category 5, and you're looking at almost 10,000 times the damage of a category 1. A category 1 may blow down some trees, and of course, one goes through your house. That's a problem. But a category 5 storm or 4 storm, well, you just saw what Katrina did. It flattens everything in its way.
Joe, you're basically telling the people in this path, you better get out of the way because the biggest storm to hit the Gulf of Texas there is coming.
Yeah, but again, is it going to hit right at Galveston? Is it going to hit at Port Lavaca? You know, I'm giving myself some leeway over there, but we are telling people in Texas, this is one heck of a storm on the way. You guys haven't been hit like anything like this. 1983, Alicia hit was a Category 3. Carla was a massive storm. It had every station on the Texas Gulf Coast received hurricane force winds from Carla. There were hurricane force winds all the way inland to Abilene and Dallas. This could be very much like Carla, perhaps even outdoing Carla. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Joe, tell me again, how do you track, what factors do you look at when you decide where it's going to go, and with what level of certainty can you predict its actual path?
Well, I'm a cork and stream type meteorologist. In other words, I try to envision what the stream of the atmosphere looks like and say that the hurricane is a cork in that stream. So you try to predict, well, where's the stream going to dry up? Where's the stream going to have the most flow? And you try to get a three-dimensional look at the atmosphere, what's going on now, where it's been coming from, where it's going, and then we use computer modeling to try to help us with the end game in this situation. Now, the problem with the computer models is they're all over the place. I see some driving into Brownsville. There's a run this afternoon, and for instance, in the natural gas industry, it's going up through the roof this evening. Why? Because everybody saw the new run trying to take the hurricane into Galveston and Beaumont, where all those big refineries are. So it goes back and forth. What I try to do is we put out an initial forecast 2 days ago, and until that hurricane is coming off that path, they're not doing what we're saying, we stick with that forecast.
Joe,
Why change it 100 times? You confuse everyone.
Thank you very much. Good to see you once again. Thanks for being with us tonight. And coming up is New Orleans ready to face another storm surge. We'll tell you how prepared the city is for the approaching Category 2 Hurricane Rita, and why is Louisiana Senator Mary Landrieu threatening to knock out President Bush. We'll bring you all the details. That is coming up, among other things, on Hannity and Colmes.
Can a child fulfill the promise of a father? At New York Life, the tradition of being an agent is passed from generation to generation. These promises we make to you to protect a family, to pay a policy when needed, are guaranteed not only by our values of financial strength, integrity, and humanity, but also by generations to come. Promises that last are why New York Life is the company you keep.
Arriva, a new generation for energy generation.
Hyatt Gold Passport's Faster Free Nights. Every 2 stays earns you a free night at Hyatt Hotels and Resorts worldwide when you pay through MasterCard, now through November 30th.
The natural condition of our eyes is moist, but sometimes your eyes don't produce enough tears. If you use over-the-counter eye drops or artificial tears several times a day, ask your eye doctor about Restasis.
Because you may have chronic dry eye due to decreased tear production. You can have chronic dry eye without knowing it, like me, and my doctor prescribed Restasis. It's the only eye drop that helps your eyes increase tear production with continued use.
Go to Restasis5.com or call 1-866-379-3935 to get this free information kit. Restasis helps increase your natural ability to produce tears, which may be suppressed by inflammation due to chronic dry eye. It should not be used by patients with active eye infections and has not been studied in patients with a history of herpes viral infections of the eye. The most common side effect is a burning sensation.
1 drop twice a day with continued use helps me make more of my own tears. My tears. Thanks, Restasis.
Make an appointment with your eye doctor to see if Restasis is right for you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Lori Dew. Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid says he won't support the president's pick for Chief Justice, but admits that may not matter much in the end, as Steve Centani reports in this live update from Washington. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Lori. The top Democrat in the U.S. Senate announcing today he'll be voting against John Roberts to be Chief Justice of the High Court. Harry Reid of Nevada, the Senate Democratic leader, said it was a difficult decision and predicted Roberts will be confirmed, but he complained again about the failure of the Bush administration to release documents on Roberts. He pointed out that Roberts has only been on the Court of Appeals for 2 years, and he questioned Roberts' commitment to civil rights.
It's now clear that as a young lawyer, John Roberts played a significant role in shaping and advancing the Republican agenda to roll back civil rights protections.
Now, Roberts met with Georgia Republican Saxby Chambliss today, and after that meeting, Chambliss said Roberts deserves to be confirmed.
If honesty counts, if knowledge of the law counts, if family values count, if being a true American count, then you can't vote against this man.
The Senate Judiciary Committee is expected to endorse Roberts in a vote scheduled for Thursday. Lori?
All right. Thank you very much, Steve. I'll have more headlines just after the top of the hour. Hannity Colmes continues right now.
And welcome back to Hannity Colmes. I'm Sean Hannity. Also coming up tonight, Senator Mary Landrieu still said she'd punch President Bush. So is this the kind of talk that's going to hurt the Democratic Party? But first, just 3 weeks after Hurricane Katrina broke through the fragile levee system that flooded New Orleans, what could a second major storm do to the city? Joining us now is the Chief of Public Affairs for the Mississippi Valley Division of the Army Corps of Engineers. John Rickey is with us. John, I know we just heard from our good friend, our meteorologist friend, that this is not going to hit New Orleans, but there's always the possibility, and he'll acknowledge, if right turn in this particular storm, this could be devastation beyond anybody's wildest, predictions. It could be dire. It could be horrible.
Well, I'll tell you, Sean, it certainly is a matter of concern to all of us. The Corps of Engineers is ramping up its response mechanism in preparation for that storm as well. We've got a lot of work going on down in New Orleans right now on the Mississippi Gulf Coast and the rest of Louisiana. Those project response teams that we have on standby now are certainly being alerted to fall in on our friends and neighbors in Texas when they need our help down there.
Well, I think the nation probably was not that aware that New Orleans was under sea level to the extent that they are. If this current hurricane, which we just heard may become a Category 5, at landfall may be a Category 4 or 5, are there any specific problems that our friends in Houston and the Galveston area and the Texas Gulf area may be facing that make this problematic?
Well, certainly the one major hurdle besides the obvious damage that we had to overcome was the communications, being able to communicate with each other. We've learned a lot of lessons from that, being able to respond and work together as a team. Our relationship with the local folks in New Orleans has been a great benefit of us to us. We've made pretty remarkable progress on getting the water out of New Orleans.
But are there any specific problems for the path that this hurricane is now on? That's what my area of concern would be right now.
If you're talking about for the New Orleans area, we're certainly concerned if it follows that path for a lot of rainfall. I don't think we're going to have near the storm surge conditions, but there's going to be a lot of damage, and folks are going to have to be prepared for that. With Hurricane Katrina, we had 4.5 to 5 times the amount of debris from Hurricane Andrew, and if this storm that they're talking about now comes into the Gulf Coast area and the Texas Gulf Coast, it's going to create phenomenal damage, and we're going to have to be prepared to respond to that. At the same time, we're working on repairing and recovering from Katrina.
John, we just heard Hannity Colmes. Thank you for being on the show. We just heard Joe Bastardi say it's going to be 250 miles perhaps away from New Orleans, but do you take that literally, or you go through all the preparations anyway, just in case? How closely do you monitor what the meteorologists are saying, and how literally do you take what they say?
Well, Alan, we're fortunate we have meteorologists on our staff as well. We're taking everything serious. We're going to keep folks in there, continuing to do the interim protection repairs to the system down there. If we are forced to evacuate, if Rita does something squirrely and heads toward us, we'll maintain a command and control cell down there, but we're going to have to pull the folks out of the way to be able to get them back into the fight. But right now, as of a few hours ago, we think we're going to continue. We'll continue through the night, through the next day, to continue those interim repairs, and until we get the word if we have to evacuate and get prepared for getting engaged in the fight again, we will. But right now, I think we're going to be dealing with a lot of rain, not as much storm surge, and our folks are continuing to push material in those 7,000-pound sandbags in those levees, those breaches, and we've restored some protection, but not enough.
Why do you say interim repairs? Are you going slowly, kind of hedging your bets just in case you get hit again?
Well, no, that's not the issue. You have to understand that this is, when you build these levee systems, it's a race against the calendar, not the clock. And the interim repairs is to restore some viability to the system until we can get in there and do the actual reconstruction of that system. So we're trying to get prepared to get through the rest of this hurricane season, and then prepared to get a more robust system standing back up between now and next June before next hurricane season. But you just don't do this overnight.
All right, John, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate your time tonight. And we check in now with Greta Van Susteren standing by for a sneak peek of what's coming up in about 23 minutes from right now when she goes on the record. Greta.
As Hurricane Rita picks up, we are going to follow the continuing story tonight throughout the hour to find out exactly where it's going to get hit, who's going to get hit the hardest, plus new information on a missing college student from Richmond, Virginia. We have that and much more. Back to you, Sean.
All right, on the record right after Hannity and Colmes tonight. And coming up next, Senator Mary Landrieu says that she would still punch President Bush in the face, and she won't apologize. We'll tell you about it. And then a new development in the case of missing Taylor Beal. The police have a person of interest. We're going to tell you why they think he played a part in her disappearance. That's next. And if you thought Louis Farrakhan had lost it when he said the levees in New Orleans had been blown up, well, wait till you see the tape that we have of him saying other things tonight. Straight ahead.
Sharp multifunction products transform the office by adding enhanced color to your documents. Then Sharp technology doubled your productivity by scanning two-sided documents in a single pass. Now Sharp's Data Security Kit is transforming the office again by preventing unauthorized access to information while keeping sensitive digital documents from falling into the wrong hands. The Sharp Digital Imager Series. All the productivity you want, all the document security you need.
For over 75 years, we've been sacrificing Volvos in the name of safety. Today, when it comes to style and design, we sacrifice nothing. Safety is a beautiful thing, especially when it's beautiful. The 2006 Volvos.
How you look at things matters. For instance, if you knew Mass Mutual Financial Group included Oppenheimer Funds, Inc., and that our companies offered everything from retirement plans to annuities to disability income and long-term care insurance, not to mention more than 20 life insurance products, would you look at us in the same way? The right perspective changes everything.
Ever wish you had a business coach watching your back and cheering you on? In business, as in golf, being competitive requires trusted support. AdminiStaff is like a coach for small businesses. They reduce liabilities and offer a systematic way to improve productivity. They provide your team with big company benefits and handle the burdens of employer-related paperwork. Well, almost all the paperwork. Small business is good for America. AdminiStaff is good for small business.
Sprint Business is reinventing the yes man.
turning the yes man into someone who can work from almost anywhere. And now that Sprint and Nextel have come together, you can work in and out of the office more efficiently, the way 96% of the Fortune 1000 already do. So saying yes from just about anywhere with speed and confidence makes me a yes man. I'm a yes man.
With Sprint Business, you can make just about any place a workplace. Yes, you can.
I just hung up with your mother. You know what just hit me? I don't remember, but once we go to Outback for the new cyclone pasta with grilled chicken and 3 cheeses, it'll come to me.
I love coming to Florida.
Outback Steakhouse. No rules, just right.
Somewhere between where you are and where you're going, there's a Super 8.
I think we're right about here.
See you along the way.
Welcome back to Hannity and Colmes. I'm Alan Colmes. Coming up, investigators have identified a person of interest in the case of missing Virginia 17-year-old Taylor Beal. We'll bring you the breaking details in the case coming up. But first, just 4 days after Hurricane Katrina destroyed New Orleans, Louisiana, Senator Mary Landrieu threatened to punch anyone, including President Bush, who criticized any Louisiana officials working on relief efforts in the state. The senator now refuses to withdraw her statement or apologize. She says it was not meant as a joke. But should the senator take back her comment? Joining us now to debate it, among other things, former Louisiana Congressman Billy Tozan. Congressman, you take it seriously. I mean, clearly she was making a forceful statement, and said the word literal, but what do you make of it?
No, I don't take it literally. I mean, look, there's a lot of emotions in Louisiana right now, and local officials and House and Senate members, trust me, are going through an awful lot, and I suppose a lot gets said that isn't meant literally, and that's pretty well a case of it, I think.
Do you understand why there's so much frustration and all the finger pointing on all sides, and everybody wants to decide where the blame is?
Well, that happens in every catastrophe like this where there's a lot of chaos. Everybody's trying to put the finger on somebody else. The fact of the matter is it's the worst catastrophe in the history of the country, not just Louisiana. It's going to take a lot of serious thought about what went wrong because, frankly, we got to look at this as sort of a rehearsal for what happens when a great American city gets hit with a terrorist attack or an earthquake strikes, the West, or another, God forbid, Katrina hits New Orleans or any other port along the Gulf Coast. This is going to happen again. There's a worse storm than Katrina out there somewhere.
Did we see last night, or the 2 nights ago, when the president went there and they set up all these lights and generators and they showed that they could have lights and generators, and then the president leaves and it's plunged back into darkness? Some people thought that's posturing, but to put on a show to show that he hadn't been there earlier on.
Oh, it's time to cut all that out. This is not about show and posturing. This is about people here in Washington and across America legitimately worried about how we rescue and restore a part of America that's been devastated. It looks like an atomic bomb hit down there without radiation. And everybody's concerned about bringing it back. And the less we get into that kind of stuff and the more seriously we begin thinking about what went wrong, how we can get ready for the next one, the better off we're going to be as a country.
So what did go wrong? Did the mayor fall down on the job? Did the governor fall down on the job? Did the president fall down on the job?
You're not going to get me into that.
Well, you just said the better we can determine what went wrong, the more forceful, the more proactive we can be for the next one.
Well, clearly, we need a lot more cooperation between state, local, and federal officials in a major disaster like this. You can make room for the ordinary when you get an ordinary disaster, but when you have something extraordinary, a whole American city going down, the president's probably right. You need federal authority moving in a lot quicker, and we need to change the law in that regard.
Congressman, welcome back to the program. It's Sean Hannity. Appreciate you being here.
Good to see you,
Sean. Look, I want to ask you this political question in this vein. You know, Mary Landrieu and the mayor in particular and the governor in particular have been out there pointing fingers all over the place. She worse than most of them from the get-go. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Her father was a prominent politician for years. She's been a prominent politician for years. Her brother is a prominent politician in the state. And yet they're out there pointing fingers. We've known for 30 years that this could happen. Don't they ever say, we messed up here? I never heard that from her. I find her remarks quite offensive.
Well, it would be good for everybody to say that everybody made mistakes, because everybody did. And start with the Corps of Engineers. I mean, we mandated a study in 1999, Sean, and funded it every year for them to do a feasibility study on raising the levees to Category 4 or 5 protection. That's not even going to be finished until 2007. We mandated FEMA to prepare an evacuation strategy for New Orleans in 1997 and 1999 that included vertical evacuation, never implemented. I mean, you know, there's a lot of that stuff you can go back and look at.
I'm going to be honest. I just look at the obvious. I look at buses that weren't used. I look at Amtrak trains that were offered that weren't used. I look at the Red Cross that was shut out for the people that needed them the most at the convention center, and they had food and water and supplies. And, you know, this isn't George Bush's fault, but the very people that are blaming George Bush are the ones that I think had the most warning, A, that this was coming 5 days prior, and B, that this catastrophe could exist, and we've known that for 30 years.
Yeah, but it's also true, I mean, that federal authorities who had a chance to plan a better evacuation strategy had that chance 6 years ago and dropped the ball. It's true that it takes too doggone long to build a levee. I mean, you hear me when I tell you this. We mandated a feasibility study and funded it every year since 1999, and not finished with the feasibility study yet. We got to do something about changing the laws.
Let me ask you one tough question. This has come up on my radio show.
Yeah.
There are some people that knew they were building property in an area that was in a flood zone, that was below sea level. Some of the people didn't have any insurance whatsoever. The American people are going to be generous. We have a moral obligation to rebuild the city. Do we have a moral obligation to rebuild homes for people that didn't have insurance, didn't have anywhere near the amount of insurance, knowing that they're living in an area like that?
Well, nobody asked that question when the nation was asked to repair properties destroyed in the earthquake in California, where there was no earthquake insurance required.
No. I'm asking specifically, though, if you buy a piece of property that you know is in a high probability flood area, is there a responsibility?
Keep in mind, if your property is levied, then under the rules you don't have to have flood insurance unless you mortgage it with a federal agency. So the laws didn't require you to have flood insurance, particularly where you were told that you were properly protected with levees.
Last question.
So it's not an easy question.
No, it's not. I'm not pointing fingers, because I think we have to help the people that have been displaced rebuild their lives. It's not a question. New Orleans has got to come back. It's not a question. But the concern that a lot of conservatives have now is that there is a price tag as high as $200 billion, which may result, if there's 1 million displaced people, that's $200,000 per person. How concerned should we be about how this money is spent and who's going to be accountable for the spending of that money?
Well, let me tell you, I've heard it said on your show a number of times, that's the next big problem. We got to be extremely worried about how that money is spent. There's a history in our state and other disaster areas where money's been badly misspent. Go back to Andrew.
Sure.
And you find cases where people got paid for...
Hey, Congressman, by the way, no chance you're coming back to the Democratic Party, is there?
No.
Not this week.
All right, thanks for being with us tonight.
All right.
Coming up next, there's a significant new development in the case of this missing college freshman. Police now have a person of interest. We'll tell you about who it is. And then last night we told you about some outrageous comments that Louis Farrakhan made about the floods in New Orleans. That was just the tip of the iceberg. We have some new tape of something else he said just yesterday that you will not believe, and it's all still to come on Hannity and Colmes.
At Hyatt Hotels and Resorts, you'll find Wi-Fi in the guest room and beyond. Here, productivity doesn't require proximity.
Lunesta. People everywhere are discovering it. What are you waiting for? Talk to your doctor to see if Lunesta could make a difference for you.
They say time is money, and we say you're wasting both if you don't rent from National Car Rental. When you join National's Emerald Club, you get to bypass the counter, go straight to the lot, and choose your own car. And the more you rent, the faster you earn upgrades. We've also streamlined the return process, so you just drop off your car and go. Now with our 1-2 free promotion, with 2 qualifying rentals, you get 1 day free. Go to nationalcar.com to register. National Car Rental, faster than the speed of life.
At Beach's ultra-inclusive family resorts, everything you dream about magically comes true. Gliding and sliding and splashing with glee. Diving and dining, it's all included, you see. Even Elmo and friends from Sesame Street. Beaches make every day in paradise perfect. Now on sale up to 50% off.
Call your travel agent or 1-800-BEACHES.
If you didn't watch jewelry television today, you missed.
Have a look at this ring.
A 3.65 carat emerald and 1 1/10 carats in diamonds. My favorite ring in the building in aquamarine.
Dramatic savings on fine jewelry and gemstones all the time.
Magnificent.
Today's show is history, but tomorrow's is a whole different jewelry television.
Simply magnificent.
Jewelry television, changing the way America buys jewelry.
Do you know why most of us have a hard time losing weight? For millions of women, the problem is borderline thyroid function. You've heard it before. Borderline thyroid function is a diet killer. It can sabotage any weight loss plan. But now there's Thyron ATC. Thyron ATC is the first diet pill that combines clinically proven weight loss, incredible energy, and the comprehensive thyroid support we need to lose weight. I don't know why it's taken so long to combine weight loss, energy, and thyroid support into a single pill. I'm just glad someone finally did it. So don't let borderline thyroid function keep you from losing weight. Thyron ATC, dramatic weight loss, incredible energy, plus the thyroid support we need. Thyron ATC, finally, a diet pill that gives us everything we need to lose weight.
Thyron ATC, the high-energy diet pill with thyroid support. Call 1-800-591-8609. That's 1-800-591-8609.
As we continue on Hannity and Colmes, I'm Sean Hannity. Also coming up, brand new outrageous comments from the Nation of Islam's Louis Farrakhan. If you thought last night's comments were outrageous, wait till you hear what he said last night. But first, 17-year-old college freshman Taylor Beal, who disappeared from the Virginia Commonwealth University 15 days ago. Police now have, quote-unquote, a person of interest. It's a 38-year-old amateur photographer who met Beal at the beginning of the year. Both the Richmond police and Taylor's family say that the man had a physical relationship with the teenager. And joining us now with the campus reaction is the general manager of the student radio station, WVCW. Bill Wright is with us. Bill, thanks for being on board. We discussed this last night. She met this man. It was a friend's roommate, and he took pictures of her and posted them on a provocative website of his, correct?
That's what I've heard.
Okay, but now what's stunning about this is the lawyer representing this 38-year-old said he believes that they now consider her a suspect. Why do we think that?
You know, I really couldn't answer any of that. I'm not briefed on what the lawyers have said. And any questions like that, I would have to refer to the authorities.
And he's one of the last people to have seen her?
From what I understand, I think the last person that they said that saw her was her roommate.
All right, what do we know about now? They have executed search warrants, a lie detector test, and of course last night's news that they had found her car. What's the latest on those things?
From what I hear, they found the car. It had Ohio tags on it from a car that was stolen earlier on in the year. So that's baffled everybody as far as the VCU students are concerned.
Yeah. Did we know for a fact that they wanted him to take a lie detector test and what the response is?
You know, the VCU students really don't know much more than probably you do. We all, you know, hope and pray that she's found safe and well. Our hearts go out to her family and friends. VCU has done everything they can.
What have we heard? Has anybody come up with any knowledge of what these photographs were? And how do we know for a fact, beyond what the family has said and the police have said, that there was this physical relationship?
You know, other than rumors, I really don't know. I know that she was dating a gentleman her age that went to VCU, but apparently she had some kind of relationship.
Hey, Bill, it's Alan Colmes. What, did you know her at all? Was she known well on campus?
No, I didn't. No, she had only been there about 2 weeks, so...
So she wasn't well known by the student body. What do you know? Can you add any information to this that, you know, from being there and being on campus, what the reaction is, what people are saying, maybe those who do know her?
People really, I would say the whole VCU student community is just stunned. VCU is a very safe campus. Of course, it's an urban campus, but it's well lit. There's VCU police call boxes everywhere if something were to happen. You know, the VCU police and the administration really do a great job.
Is this 38-year-old person a known person in the community? Do people know who he is?
No. No, I mean, outside of the circle, no.
We know if he's hit on other students, whether he's had relationships with other students, whether he's used the college as a place to go and photograph students, which apparently he liked to do.
You know, about that, I couldn't comment. I really don't know, and it's not well known to VCU students.
I understand that she wanted, that the 38-year-old wanted to take a lie detector test, but his lawyer wouldn't let him. So I find that interesting, if indeed that is the case, that he wanted to go forward and take one. He is the person of interest, apparently. It's certainly a bizarre relationship. What's being said on the campus radio station about it?
Right now, we're working with the CT, that's the Commonwealth Times there, the student newspaper. We just basically cover what they print, and we really don't know anything more than you yourselves know about this case.
Well, we'll be following the story, and I guess you'll be following it on the campus on the local radio station, and hopefully the car is a break in the case, the license plates from a different state a break in the case, and we'll get new information, hopefully very, very soon. We'll be able to track it for you. Thanks very much for being with us.
All right, Bill.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Appreciate your time. Now, we have a lot more to get to tonight. When we come back, we told you the outrageous things that Minister Louis Farrakhan was saying about the break in the levee, that potentially they were blown up. Well, we've got new tape from last night. We'll play it for you. Louis Farrakhan, in his own words. Trust me, it's shocking. Next.
Tonight, Hurricane Rita slammed Florida, flooding highways, knocking out power, and forcing people to leave their homes, and the worst is still on the way. Rita is expected to be a massive Category 4 hurricane by tomorrow. We are tracking the storm, and we'll tell you where it's headed. Then missing college student Taylor Beal's mother and father are here. Who is the new person of interest in her disappearance? Plus, a nationwide manhunt is underway right now for this man. He's armed, dangerous, and wanted for multiple murders.
Well, I'm finally selling the place.
Oh, you're kidding.
Decided I gotta chase the dream before I'm too tired to do it.
Well, this car's sure gonna miss you.
No, new fella take good care of it.
So you bought this infirmary?
Yeah, I just decided I had to chase the dream before I got too tired to do it.
Maybe you'll finish your life's work early. Or maybe you'll hear a second calling and say, hello, future. Call your advisor about the powerful resources of Lincoln Financial Group.
It's the final days of Chrysler Employee Pricing Plus. Hurry in now for the best selection of remaining 05s. They're going fast, so get to your Chrysler dealer today for employee pricing plus cash allowance on Town & Country, PT Cruiser, and Crossfire Limited. All with our employee pricing, plus up to $1,500 cash allowance on select models, which gets you a Town & Country for just under 18 grand. Don't miss out. Visit your Chrysler dealer today or visit Chrysler.com/clearance.
Sharp multifunction products transform the office by adding enhanced color to your documents. Then Sharp technology doubled your productivity by scanning two-sided documents in a single pass. Now Sharp's data security kit is transforming the office again by preventing unauthorized access to information while keeping sensitive digital documents from falling into the wrong hands. The Sharp Digital Imager Series, all the productivity you want, all the document security you need.
They have passed this way before. The journeymen and women who make their meeting, who make their mark. We know them well and pay homage with Wi-Fi, with 24-hour markets, with ergonomic 360-degree swiveling desk chairs. We've learned from their legion and remade ourselves in their image. These are the fruits of your labor. Enjoy.
Finally, on last night's show, we told you about some outrageous comments made by the Minister Louis Farrakhan. This is what he said about the floods in New Orleans. Quote, in that levee, there was a 25-foot hole which suggested that it may have been blown up so that the water would destroy the black part of town. A conspiracy to destroy the African-American part of town? Well, it gets worse. Take a look at what he said in Houston just yesterday.
If the Red Cross doesn't act right, then it must be destroyed. Right. And something better put in its place.
Something better like what? He's got no positive things to say, and he just divides people.
Well,
and
he said that about the Red Cross. He said it about FEMA. He turned it into a racial agenda. One of the things that has really disturbed me in all of this, and I have very big criticism of your fellow Democrats, is the rush with glee to politicize.
Oh, there was no rush with glee on the part of Democrats.
Oh, yes,
there was no glee, absolutely.
Oh, yes, there was.
That's
and it has been
utterly
well
untrue.
documented. Robert F. Kennedy, Sidney Blumenthal, Paul Begala, Howard
Sean,
Dean, Hillary Clinton, Chuck Schumer,
you had
all of them.
Republican after Republican blaming
All
the
of
mayor,
them.
blaming the governor, who came forth with a declaration of emergency on the 26th.
Not when we were looking to save lives,
No,
and therein lies the distinction.
I think it was the other side that kept saying our side was politicizing it to ward off criticism against them. That's not what was happening. No. But as usual,
I have
we
the
disagree.
quotes and the dates and the times.
I got the same
Put
thing.
them up on the screen
We'll
any
be
day you
happy to.
want.
I'm sure we'll continue to debate it. That is all the time you have left for this evening. Greta Van Susteren coming up next to go on the record. See you tomorrow night. Have a great night.